Lecture number 3: Architecture, Art, and Theatres. They constructed temples and dedicated to their local gods. Through these temples and other public buildings, three major styles were also developed, and it mainly influenced the European and the Western world. These are the three major styles mentioned over here. First is the Doric. It is mainly a simple one which has a plain top. Ionic, it has swirls at the both sides, and Corinthian, it is a decorated one. So these were the main ideas that they created in their temples. And these ideas also influenced the European and the Western world. Science and mathematics, mathematical development in the ancient Greece. Greeks were mainly influenced by the ancient Egypts. As we have learned that ancient Egypts were very practical about their scientific knowledge and their mathematical knowledge. Now, here what we are learning, Archimedes, he wrote about the mathematics and the measurement of the water power. He also introduced pulley systems to pump the water out of flooded ships and the fields. The pulley system that we are seeing nowadays is actually a Greek invention. Pythagoras or Euclid, they developed the geometry. Dissected bodies to understand the digestive and the vascular system. They also suggested that material world is consisted of four major elements: wind, fire, air, and water. Ptolemy, astronomer, he suggested that sun moves around the earth. Greek ideas were mainly preserved for long after the development of the Greek civilization. It means these ideas were not initially practiced in the Greek civilization, but they actually preserved long after the development of the Greek civilization. But they were actually preserved by the Romans, then by the Christians, and then in the Islamic cultures. This is the most important topic. This is rival political system. As we have learned that Greek word for city state was the poli. Here, Greek word for city government is polis. In English, term politics is also based on it. By 600 BCE, about 300 different states settled, which means within 100 years, they were about to settle 300 different states, and each state had a different government. Now, here we are going to learn about the two major states because these states later captured the major political dominance: Sparta and Athens. We have to learn the political system in these states. First, Sparta. It was the largest city-state and it was governed by two kings at the same time. Now, what their kings used to do, they kept each other in the check and they were also answerable to the council of male members. It means if anyone is going to commit any indecent act, then he will held accountable to a council of male members. Sparta men lived and served under an army rule. It means they were following a military-based system, while the manual and the agricultural work undertook by the community of slaves, helots. Helots is mainly their slaves community, and this community was busy in the agricultural work and all the manual work. Life of a Spartan was considered to be simple, yet it was ruthless, as it was under the control of a military system. Women were expected to be fit for childbearing, and if they are not fit, their sick babies were abandoned. It means they have to leave their sick babies. So, this is the military hold in the Sparta. In contrast to Sparta, Athens was actually a democratic society where all male citizens had the right to vote, and in return they have to act as soldier in the war. Democratic system was not identical what is practiced in most countries, including Pakistan nowadays. It means the democracy which we are aware of, that freedom for the people and everything will be decided upon the judgment of people. So this is the democracy which we follow. But in the Athens, the democratic system was pretty different. In their system, city assembly consisted of male citizens who could speak and vote in their own right. It means they had the authority to choose anything for themselves. So, this way, they call their system a democratic one. This system also gave freedom to male, but also half of the male citizens were slaves with no rights. It means the males who were fit enough, who were at a higher status, they could have the freedom to make their decision. They can vote for themselves. But as half of the citizenship were slaves, so they have minimum rights or no rights. Women usually invisible, it means women had no rights and they expected to stay indoors. It means they cannot come outside for the purpose of work or any other thing. Rival empires. After Persian defeated by the Greek city-states, the Athenians built up an empire through an alliance of the smaller city-states. As Athens was a democratic society, so they soon get alliance with the smaller city-states. Their power provoked rivalry with the Sparta. It means when they had the power, Sparta had a number of wars with the Athens. Finally, the Peloponnesian War fought in the ancient Greece between the Athens and the Sparta, and this war continued from 431 to 405 BCE. Near around 25 long years took to finish this Peloponnesian War. This war also shifted power of Athens to the Sparta because Sparta was already a military-based system, making Sparta the most powerful city-state in the region.